as far as the conditions on the loans, I'm told that there's a few big ones. One is to let the currency, the market determine the exchange rate. And that is something that last year there was a lot of intervention in the exchange rate, and the system doesn't seem to be working anymore. And it's one of the reasons that there's such a difficulty now. Two other conditions I've been told about, that Pakistan has to increase the support, the cash transfers to poor families through the Benazir Bhutto income transfer fund. I guess the IMF wants that to be inflation adjusted. And so this is new for the IMF. They used to push a lot of austerity, and they still to some extent do, but they want to show that they care about the poor and they care about social support. So there is a social support aspect to the conditions in this review. And the last condition that I heard about is they want Pakistan to raise taxes, to get more tax revenue. And I've been told that Pakistan has the lowest tax collection rate in the world, one of the lowest in the world, lower than sub-Saharan Africa. So if you look at the size of its economy, it should be collecting many more taxes, much more in taxes. And some areas, some big parts of the economy seem to be protected from taxes. And so at this stage, they seem to have settled for raising taxes on luxury goods and sugary drinks. But I know the IMF, in the future, they're going to want to see more from Pakistan on that. And particularly making sure the rich pay taxes in Pakistan. I've heard that a lot over the last couple of days when I've been reporting. People saying that there's constantly tax amnesties for the rich, including under Imran Khan, who ran on this anti-corruption platform, but gave this very big tax amnesty, a very long tax amnesty. So, if Pakistan is going to be solvent, if its economy is going to work, if its government's going to have money to pay for stuff, they have to collect more taxes. And those are really tough political decisions that have to be made. So to me, the root of this crisis is really the political chaos in Pakistan right now, sort of the fight that's going on.
So are the people in DC, are they concerned about the political uncertainty in Pakistan and the economic problems, severe problems in Pakistan, and the conditions which are attached to the lending agency IMF? If they are not fulfilled 100%, to some extent they are being fulfilled over here.
Yes.
As far as the taxes are concerned, on the luxury items, yes, we have imposed taxes on the luxury items. As far as the taxes, raise in the taxes is concerned, we have increased the taxes as far as the indirect taxes are concerned, and we are trying to increase the volume of the taxpayers as well. Imports and exchange rate. Would you like to explain or elaborate something on this one, the exchange rate thing? Because imports in Pakistan, we are trying to curtail the imports in Pakistan. So if we talk about overall, we are basically trying to meet whatever the conditions are put before us by IMF, and to some extent we have been successful in doing that. If those conditions are not 100% implemented over here, I would say 75% of them have been imposed in one way or the other. So why is the delay in this IMF package? And how long do you think it's going to take that the package lands in Pakistan?
I think the biggest problem is the external funding, the shortfalls. There's not enough. What are they trying to show they can get? Something like what is it? 8 billion, 7 billion, or it's around that neighborhood. IMF is 1.1. China, you've got China, you got Saudi Arabia. I just think there's still some more money to be found to show it, and that's why I said it's a chicken and the egg problem. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's like, what does Pakistan? Pakistan needs to show that it has money in order to get more money. It's a really tough problem. When you were talking about the restriction of imports, I was told that that's actually one of the reasons that the economy is in problems, because if factories can't import the stuff they need to then make the stuff they're making, then you've got people out of work, you can't sell the stuff you're making, your whole economy is going to grind to a halt, right? So they were saying that the markets have stopped functioning properly, and it's not a way to grow. They were saying it would have been better to let the market determine the exchange rate than restrict imports at that time. I mean, they're talking about the past. They're talking about problems of the past. I think people understand the gravity of the situation. Nobody wants to see Pakistan fall apart. Pakistan's an important country. It's a nuclear armed country. There's so many reasons why the world should not stand by idly while Pakistan falls apart. But I do think there has been a loss of patience with Pakistan, and there have been a lot of conditions that over time the government has ignored, promises that it has broken to the IMF. And I also think that, look, there's just a lot more crises going around in the world. In the past, Condi Rice could fly to Pakistan and try to negotiate a deal between its, warring factions of its government. That day is over. Americans are concerned about Ukraine right now. They're looking at China. There's a whole bunch of other things right at our in our inbox that's right at the top and on fire. And so Pakistan's just not getting the attention that it used to get. And I think that's part of the issue. So I don't know if somebody else can come in and fill the void and try to help solve some of these entrenched political problems. But the other thing I wanted to say is that Pakistan is not alone. There is a debt crisis all over the world. There are dozens of countries that are going to default, or that are at risk of defaulting, that are going to be in need of IMF funding or emergency funding from somewhere. And this is of no fault of their own. This is because of rising interest rates. It has nothing to do with their own choices. And I think that's one of the things we have to keep sight of too on Pakistan. A huge part of this is not Pakistan's fault. It's that debt payments are becoming unsustainable because of rising interest rates. Something like half of, let me just say that this is something the IMF is going to be talking about next week. World leaders are going to be coming to Washington. Everybody who's operating in the space of the IMF and the World Bank are going to be getting together in Washington next week and talking about what can be done. Is there some new framework that can be put into place to actually help countries restructure their debt, to give them some breathing space so that they can not only survive in the short term, but invest in their economies and grow and do it in an environmentally sustainable way. And so there's a big push for something new that can get us out of this ad hoc, each country for themselves going to negotiate a painful package. And I just don't know if it's going to happen in time for Pakistan. I think Pakistan really needs this money now, and they need to be pushing for it. And I've heard a lot of, there's some commentary on the ground that the government is kind of sleepwalking, that they're just looking at maybe the next few months. They're not looking long term enough to try to solve this problem, in a really solid way that's going to increase confidence in its economy. At the end of the day, the problem is that people have lost confidence in the economy, and that's why private lenders are leaving, and that's why the shortfall is growing. The amount of money that Pakistan has to show the IMF that it has access to, that's getting bigger over time. It's not getting smaller.